Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
We're diving into the world of, portable PC gaming today.
Ah, right.
Taking a real deep dive into the ASUS ROG Ally X.
And we're working from a pretty detailed review, yeah. It gives us a good look at what ASUS has done with this update.
Exactly. So our mission, I guess, is really to figure out what makes this thing stand out. The handheld market feels, well, pretty crowded now.
It really does.
Does it actually deliver? Is it this high-end portable gaming machine they promise?
Where does it win? Where does it maybe fall short?
Yeah, the trade-off.
So we'll be honing in on what the review highlights, right? The design, how it feels,
The build quality.
the screen, that display quality,
Yep.
the raw power under the hood, the performance,
X, yeah.
navigating it all, the software side.
And the big one,
And yeah, the absolute key for portable stuff.
battery life.
Always the battery life. The cornerstone, really. Okay, let's jump in.
Let's do it. The review kicks off talking about design and build. What was the takeaway there?
Well, what really struck me from the source was how premium it apparently feels.
Premium. Okay.
Yeah, described as solid, beautifully finished matte black.
Nice.
And it has this, reassuring weight. Suggests quality, but not too heavy.
Right, not burdensome.
Exactly. It doesn't feel like a toy. It feels like, serious kit.
That premium feel seems important for where they're positioning this device.
Yeah.
What about comfort? Holding it for a while.
Absolutely critical for handhelds.
Totally.
So we learned it's got these curved grips designed to fit snugly.
Makes sense.
And the button layout is pretty standard, like a console controller, which helps.
Familiar.
Yeah. And the triggers, the sticks, they get called out as being satisfying. Clicky, precise.
Good.
And even though it's packing that 7-inch screen and all that power inside, it apparently stays pretty compact. Feels durable, too.
Okay, so a really solid physical start. Let's talk visuals then. The display. It's a 7-inch full HD IPS panel. And importantly, 120 hertz refresh rate.
Yeah, that 120 hertz definitely jumps out for a handheld.
It really does.
The review calls it a delight to behold.
High praise.
And it's not just the specs on paper. The quality seems to be there. Vivid colors, good blacks, those crucial viewing angles.
Yeah, because you're not always holding it perfectly straight on.
Exactly. And the 120 hertz. Does the review say if that really matters much in practice on the go?
Good question.
It suggests it does make a noticeable difference.
Oh, okay.
Especially, in fast games, action titles, competitive stuff. Motion just feels slicker, more responsive.
Smoother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Touch responsiveness is also apparently sharp. So look, 60 hertz is fine for a lot of games,
Yes.
but having 120 definitely elevates things if you can, if you notice it and benefit from it.
All right, now we get to the really interesting bit. Performance.
The horsepower.
What's actually in this thing? And what can it do according to the review?
Okay, so under the hood, it's running that AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme chip.
Ah, the top tier one for handhelds.
That's the one. AMD's best for these kinds of devices, and it's paired with, get this, 24 gigabytes of RAM.
Hold on. 24 gigs
Yep,
in a handheld. That feels huge.
it is, especially for something this size. Think of RAM as the system's immediate workspace.
Right, short-term memory.
More RAM means it can juggle bigger game textures, more complex stuff, maybe more background tasks without choking.
Okay.
The source says this combo lets it tackle really modern, demanding games. Things like Cyberpunk 2077, Elden Ring,
Wow.
with surprising confidence, delivering frame rates and visuals that are genuinely impressive, even compared to some gaming laptops.
So we're not just talking indie games or old stuff here.
Oh, no.
Though it can probably handle those easily.
Piece of cake, presumably.
It's really aiming at playing proper, big PC games. Maybe not maxed out, ultra settings everywhere.
Probably not ultra.
Though without, crippling compromises.
Exactly. It's positioned as being capable of some impressive stuff with new AAA games. The review does mention you can balance that power, though. Use performance profiles?
Right. Tell it how hard to work.
Yeah, depending on the game, or, if you're trying to save battery.
Speaking of PC games.
Yeah.
How do you actually get them onto this thing? It runs Windows 11, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Full Windows 11.
So that means
Direct access to basically your entire existing PC game library.
okay. Steam.
Steam, Epic Games Store, Xbox Game Pass for PC, Ubisoft Connect, whatever you use.
If you have it on your PC, you can likely install it here.
Pretty much, which is a huge plus if you've already got a big digital collection.
No doubt. The review mentions it boots into something called ASUS Armoury Crate. What's that?
Right, Armoury Crate. If you're not familiar, it's ASUS's own software layer.
An overlay.
Yeah, essentially a custom dashboard that sits on top of Windows. It's meant to make it feel a bit more like a console.
How so?
Lets you launch games quickly, get to settings, change performance modes, manage controllers, even tweak the RGB lights.
Right, instead of just dumping you onto the standard Windows desktop.
Exactly, trying to streamline that PC experience for a handheld format.
But because it is still Windows underneath, you still get all that PC flexibility, right?
Right.
Which might mean a bit more fiddling sometimes compared to, say, a Switch or a Steam Deck.
That sounds like a fair summary, yeah. You get way more control and access than a closed console system.
Which some people will love.
Absolutely, especially if you're used to PCs or maybe coming from a more locked-down handheld. The source describes the Crate Hub itself as, like, intuitive,
Okay.
but maybe a bit busy. Lots of options.
Got it. Okay. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The portable room.
Yes.
Battery life. The review really flags this as the main caveat.
It does. And look, all that power, that Z1 Extreme, the bright 120 hertz screen, 24 gigs of RAM,
It all needs juice.
it all draws significant power. The source is pretty blunt about it.
How blunt?
Under heavy gaming load, playing demanding titles, you might be lucky to scrape 2 hours of playtime unplugged.
2 hours.
Yeah.
That feels quite limiting for something meant to be portable, especially if you're on a train or a plane.
It absolutely is. The review suggests you'll probably need to turn down settings quite a bit.
Right.
Or maybe just save those really demanding games for when you're near a power outlet if you want to stretch it out.
Manage expectations.
Definitely. They mentioned maybe getting like 3 or 4 hours with lighter games or really optimized settings.
Okay, better, but still.
But yeah, it's definitely not an all-day machine if you're pushing its limits constantly.
So keep that charger handy. Or serious power bank.
You'll want one nearby, yeah. The source does mention it supports fast charging, though.
Well, that feels less like a bonus and more like a necessity, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Awesome.
Given you might need frequent top-ups if you're gaming hard on the go.
Okay, let's quickly cover some other practical things. Ergonomics felt good, you said?
Yeah, seems so. Weighs around 650 grams, apparently well-balanced. Textured back for grip.
Okay. Fan noise? Heat. Always a concern with powerful small devices.
We learned the fan noise is, well, audible when it's working hard. You'd expect that.
Sure.
But the review found it wasn't, like, distracting during gameplay. And importantly, the heat management seems decent.
That's all?
Keeps the hot spots away from where your hands rest, which is crucial for comfort, even if those sessions are, potentially short between charges.
Good point. Connectivity. Storage.
Pretty good, actually. It's got a full-size USB-C port,
Nice.
a micro SD card slot for more storage,
Always welcome.
standard 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, thank goodness,
Yes.
and even a micro HDMI out.
Oh, interesting. So you could dock it.
Yeah, that flexibility means you could easily hook it up to a monitor, keyboard, mouse, use it like a tiny desktop PC.
Versatile. And internal storage.
A1 TB SSD is included, which is significant. Plenty of space for a decent game library, and SSD means fast load times.
Okay, that's good spec. So finally, putting it all together. Price. Value.
Right.
The review positions it as premium, yeah. So not cheap.
Definitely not cheap compared to some other handhelds out there. You're paying for that cutting-edge portable PC hardware.
And the ability to play your PC games.
Exactly. The conclusion drawn seems to be that if you have the budget and your absolute priority is having a mobile device that can really run those demanding AAA PC titles,
Performance on the go.
then it's a mix of high performance, that lovely display, and the solid build quality is presented as being pretty hard to beat right now.
So the verdict from the source seems quite clear then. It's a winner if
Yeah.
what you demand is the absolute best performance you can get in a handheld form factor today.
Marrying that top-tier power with the great screen and good ergonomics.
Yes.
But
And it sounds like a big but.
it's a significant but. You absolutely have to go in with realistic expectations about the battery life when you push it.
Don't expect miracles there.
No. It seems built for people who are okay with being plugged in fairly often or accept shorter play sessions in exchange for that raw power.
The review calls it the zenith of portable PC gaming for 2025, but with strings attached.
Within those specific constraints, yeah.
Which brings us back to you, the listener. Thinking about everything we've just unpacked from the source. What kind of gamer does this ROG Ally X really feel like it's for?
Well, it feels like it's not for someone needing, an 8-hour gaming session on a flight.
Right.
Instead, it seems aimed at the user who wants the flexibility to turn almost any location,
Hotel room, friend's place.
even just another room in their house, into a proper, powerful PC gaming setup.
Without lugging a big laptop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Using their existing game library, they prioritize that sheer performance, that PC compatibility.
And understand it means managing power carefully, or staying tethered sometimes.
Precisely.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about portable power, maybe more than portable endurance.
Well put.
So looking ahead then, mobile hardware keeps getting faster, right?
Relentlessly.
And there's this clear desire to make the PC gaming experience truly portable.
It raises that big question, doesn't it? How is that balance going to evolve?
Between pushing performance, like the Ally X does,
And that fundamental need for decent battery life.
yeah,
How will future devices juggle that?
yeah. And what does a device like this one, the ROG Ally X, which really pushes performance even at a significant battery cost?
What does that tell us about where portable PC gaming might be heading in the near future?
It's definitely something interesting to think about as we see what comes next.